Hey, it's Joe Amoia, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. And today I'd like to share a recent post on one of our videos that comes from Ann, one of the members of our Smarter Dating community. And it goes like this. Joe, I just have a bit of a problem. So if I can't have a man who I have chemistry with, and I agree that's a problem, then I might as well go back to my ex-husband, who was so loving, so supportive, handsome, and honest. He was everything I ever wanted, except I had no desire to have sex with him. There was just no chemistry. And it was the hardest thing, but I had to choose to divorce him. There's nothing worse than having no chemistry for your husband. I don't care how loving he is. Any and all love leaves if you dread having sex with that person. You said I have to choose between intimacy and chemistry. You can't have it both? Then I guess I'll be single for the rest of my life, or have a rough time with a guy who I do have chemistry with, because I'll never have what I had with my husband again. It was hell. If you or someone can relate to my conundrum, I could use your ideas. Thanks again, Joe, for all your tireless effort. Well, first of all, Anne, I want you to know to relax, because you can have it all. You can have a great man with all those wonderful qualities, and also a man who rocks your world in the bedroom. But before I do that, I want to get some insight on what needs to happen for you to have that experience. So first of all, I want to discuss, there's some confusion here. And for you and all the other members of our GPS for Love community, I really want to clean the record, clean the slate. Because you're confusing chemistry with sexual compatibility. See, when I talk about chemistry, what I talk about is something I hear all the time. Is, you know what? I show up in 2 seconds, I'm on with the guy for 5 minutes, and there's no chemistry. Or, I'm on a date with a boy, and he decides within 2 minutes that there's no chemistry for him. That's what I'm talking about. There's this idea that when you see someone and you meet someone, you've got to have butterflies in your stomach. Your panties have to get all wet just by being in their presence. And you know what? That's cool when you're 17, when you're in your early 20s. But as you get, further down the road, that's not how this relationship thing works. It's not how love works. When I first met my wife, there was none of that. If you ask her, she felt the same way. We were both like, well, this person seems nice, seem to have some, decent qualities. I want to know more about them. And as we started to engage each other and get to know each other more and start to experience life with each other, we started realizing, there's something special about this person. This is the kind of person I'm looking for in and out of the bedroom. So that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about intimacy, we're talking about a true connection with someone. And when we're talking about chemistry, we're talking about that superficial connection that's based on this fantasy, which is based on the movies and, love at first sight and all that crap. So that's why we need to get the record straight. So, the question you have is that, do I have to choose between intimacy and chemistry? Can I have them both? And I'm like, damn right you can have both. That's what GPS for Love is all about. You can have it all. But you having it all depends on the things that you're doing. If you invest your energy in guys who are great, who are really hot, who have rock hard abs, and who are great in the bedroom, but who are assholes outside, well, you know what? You're never going to have that great relationship. That's what GPS for Love is all about. It's standing there saying, you can have it all, but you've got to be able to recognize when a guy is chemistry and chemistry only. So what I want you to know is you got to be able to differentiate between chemistry and sexual compatibility. Okay? Chemistry is that superficial thing, that superficial feeling. I call it infatuation. There's just this, where the hormones, the oxytocin and the estrogen is just, it's just clouding your view, clouding your judgment, and you're basing your relationship simply on that. Where sexual compatibility is exactly that. It's how compatible you are in the bedroom. Okay? Because the reality is, if you're going to spend the rest of your life with someone, and this is a testament to what went wrong in your marriage, is that you need to be on the same page. I always say, if we weren't meant to play, God wouldn't have given us the parts. I mean, and just think of it, just think of how well these things work together. I mean, it's perfectly designed. It's perfectly designed for a reason. You're supposed to play. You're supposed to have fun. One of the things about us human beings, we're wired for something called variety, for excitement. If life was the same all the time, it would be boring. One of the reasons many marriages and relationships fail is because they stop growing. They start they stop getting excited to be with each other. When you're with someone after time, you got to do things to create some excitement, whatever that is for each person. That's different for every couple. That's why whenever I work with a client, one of the things we tell them all the time is you got to be attracted to someone and you've got to have sexual compatibility. And if you can't have those two things, your marriage, your relationship will never give you the kind of love, the kind of experience you really want. So you got to understand there's a huge difference between chemistry and sexual compatibility. And so lastly, we want to discuss intimacy. Okay, because intimacy takes it to another level. Intimacy is that sexual compatibility, but also that deep connection, what I call that soul connection, where two people get each other. You understand who is that person and they understand who you are. And you both support each other in being the best that you can be as individuals and as couples. See, there's a reason why only 15% of people go to their graves never having that happy and fulfilling relationship that they really want. Because most of us operate from that fear place, and we go for the chemistry and we go for the instant gratification. And we let our emotions, our hormones cloud our judgment. And as a result, we make choices and decisions which work in the short term, but don't lead us to the result we want in the long term. So that's what GPS for Love is. If you want to have that great relationship, you've got to do things a certain way. So Ann and everybody else out there, I want to take your fears away. You absolutely can have it all. And I'm telling you, never, ever, ever commit your life to a man who cannot give it all to you. Okay. Now, I know there's the questions, where is he? The guys like that. Yeah, I will address that in other videos. But for today, I want you to understand that you can have it all. But in order to do that, you've got to be willing to give up the good to go for the great. You've got to be willing to walk away from those guys where it's just chemistry and chemistry only, and no intimacy and sexual compatibility. And I promise you, if you stay on that path and you do that, you will find that guy when the time is right. And when you do, then you'll have that kind of relationship that you ultimately desire and deserve. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know what this brings up for you. What are your questions? What are your concerns? If you look back over your past, do you see, you know what? I went for those guys, or I tend to go for those guys where it's all about chemistry and I focus on chemistry. Or are you attracting guys who are only interested, you're attracting the boys who are only interested in chemistry? Okay, they're not interested in relationships. Because again, those are the boys, not the men. So, one of the things Ann started off with is that she used this word problem. See, I don't believe in problems. Okay, problems are unsolvable. I believe everything in life is a challenge. Everything is a speed bump. And there's just not one challenge that you've gone through or you're going through that someone else in life hasn't gone through and has already conquered. Okay, that's what I want you to get. It's all about your mindset and how you play this dating game. And if you do it from your power and you stand in your truth and you make those tough choices and decisions, you ultimately get to where you want to go. So, love to hear from you. As always, it's an honor and privilege. I'll see you next time. Much love.